So I thought about making a video that's about like 18 minutes, 15 minutes or so, explaining why payday loans are basically a terrible idea. But then I thought about it, like, it's really not that complicated. And the person on average that's watching this video that is doing payday loans or is considering payday loans, most likely you already know you're not in the best financial situation. And that's fine once you recognize it, okay? But when you think about it, okay, the average person lives paycheck to paycheck. And whenever you find yourself having to borrow from a paycheck that has not arrived, in a sense, it's like living paycheck to paycheck, but basically negative. So what I'm attempting to do with this video is not convince you that payday loans are bad, because in a sense, they're just a form of debt and loans or whatever. They don't have the best rates or whatever. But what I'm telling you for a fact is that the average person, more than a lot of them, okay, most of them. Most of these people, they're not in the best financial situation. So I'm going to tell you exactly how to go about fixing this issue, the actual issue, to actually not need to borrow from a check that has not arrived. Now, as always, guys, like this video and tap out also subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. Now, this is not really controversial, but yeah, it would be pretty cool. You know, when I first started doing research on payday loan apps, for example, like Earnin and Dave, you know, the initial commercials of these apps, they used to be pretty cool because it was like, yo, why is it that I do the work today, but I have to wait like a whole week to get paid? It kind of made it seem like it's not your fault. It's just an inconvenience of how the system is set up when it comes to paychecks. And that kind of sounds pretty cool. So it's like you get to access your cash. That's the words they basically use. And I have some of the words they use right now. Okay, so you get to access your cash within minutes because it is your cash. No got you fees or interest rates. So basically, there are no surprise fees anymore. There are no interest rates you're being charged, because it used to be back in the day, you got interest on the money you actually borrowed. So you're borrowing your own money and you having to pay interest on your own money. Kind of crazy, okay? It's easy because you don't even need a credit check. Now, this sounds like super cool and like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome, but it's just common sense. Why would you need to have a credit check when you're basically linking your deposit with someone and they know this money's coming in? They don't need to check your credit. They know the money's coming in because you have a job and pay stubs to prove it, okay? So credit is not necessary whatsoever here. And then you have, for example, you only need to tip. This idea of tipping is so stupid. And here's why I'm going to say it, okay? Because on average, people tend to think that when they tip, they're tipping, for example, adequately. But in reality, it's not like you're tipping adequately. More than often, you're paying more than they actually deserve to actually get. Because people tend to be a little generous, even though people might think that people aren't generous. People are generous, okay? That's what I choose to believe. So you tip someone, let's say, by the way, on average, you can get like 500, 750 from these apps. So you get to take out, for example, let's say $500, and you're like, yo, I'm gonna tip these people $5 or $10 to help me out or whatever. $10, what is that? Like, let's do some reverse math here. You're doing $10, you're taking out 500, you're multiplying that by 100 right here, so you got the percentage. You're paying like 2% on a little loan, okay? It doesn't sound like a lot, but you shouldn't be paying any interest whatsoever when it comes to accessing your own cash. Again, I'm not trying to convince you that getting these little things is like, for example, a bad idea. Because overall, you might think, for example, well, Tommy, what if I don't tip anything? And the answer is, I don't know exactly how that would affect the relationship between you and the app company, because if you're not tipping, then why would they give you access? But maybe they just have it like intertwined with the whole system and say, hey, more than often people are going to tip. The people that don't tip, whatever, we lose money there. But often all these people are going to cover those people, okay? But if you can take out your money in advance and you can have that money available to you and you're paying no fees, absolutely, and no interest, absolutely, and no tip, absolutely, it's basically just free money until you get the paycheck. The answer is, if it's that, and it's not because you're basically in a financial pinch every time, that's a different conversation. But on average, the people that are getting these payday loans, whatever you want to call it, paycheck loans, the answer is these are people that are going through financial struggle. So here's my advice. I don't recommend payday loans. They promote bad habits and it's not good. What comes from that, or the reason to why you want that more than average, is just terrible, okay? So first of all, this is going to be very basic. It's not crazy. It's not complicated. First of all, got to understand that if you want to change and you want to be different in a sense, you got to do different things than what you're currently doing. So here's what I did when I was basically broke that actually helped me become better at managing my finances. First of all, establish a budget. A budget does not mean, for example, you don't get to do anything. It means, for example, you establish what you want to be able to do that gets you to your goals accordingly. Meaning you set your own load, you set your own budget. It's not my budget, it's your budget. In my budget, I wouldn't have, for example, let's say spending $20 on Netflix. I don't have Netflix, but I might have spending $20 on Starbucks. I like Starbucks, okay? So that's the idea. Your budget is your budget, but be realistic, because if your budget is unrealistic, you can't expect any results. So you have to be realistic. First of all, I recommend you have a budget. My budget is called the baseline budget. Okay, so baseline budget has 4 categories of spending. You have shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. That's it. Everything else outside of that is basically just a want. So anything that you don't need is a want. So for most people out there, what I recommend is just cut all the wants off. Cut them absolutely every want off. That's how you actually get to financial freedom a lot faster. Number 2 is calculate exactly how much money you have left over. That's called your discretionary income. And you put those into 3 categories. You put it, for example, into emergencies. You put it, for example, into fun. And you put it also into investing. Or no, you actually can put it into debt also. 4 categories overall. And also charity. 5 categories overall. But the idea is you have to make a priority. If you're in debt, my recommendation is sell all the things you don't need. And with all your extra money, you put it towards debt. While you're doing this, take 5% and use that money just for fun. That's your money for fun. But this way, you have some balance and you have separation between your money. So let me just put this into a clear picture. I go back home, basically. I sit down, I get a piece of paper, I grab some notes, whatever you want to do, doesn't matter, okay? I'm not a paperologist, but you grab some paper, whatever, and you write down what are all my bills, okay? All my bills. And you put down the 4 main categories: shelter, utilities, groceries, and transportation. How much money am I spending on these things? Can I actually save money here by either moving, by either eating out less, by buying Whole Foods or whatever? Not Whole Foods, that's expensive. I mean, actually buying maybe in bulk. I'll use that word. Or having a less diverse diet by eating chicken with rice or whatever. So you kind of figure out exactly how can I lower these big 4. You know, if I have a car that's financed, can I sell this car, cut my losses, buy a beater car? Great stuff. Okay, so figure out how to lower those 4. Everything else that you don't need, like the Netflix and so on, you cut those things out. You don't need them. And then whatever money's left over, so I say, hey, so I get $2,000, I spend $1,000. I'm going to grab 5% of that extra money I basically have, and I'm going to put that money just towards fun. All the extra money, I'm going to try to save like $500 or $1,000 for emergencies in case anything happens while I'm trying to do this plan. And then all the extra money, once I have that savings, I'm going to just grab it and dump it into paying off my debt as fast as possible. But this way, if you run into a pinch, okay, you don't need to borrow money from a paycheck. You know what I mean? And once you have no debt, then that gives you a lot less friction, because obviously when you get paid, all the money is yours now. It's not like you pay this money out to this credit card and that credit card and this student loan and this thing. I would focus on all the debt except the mortgage. Once you're done there, then you lock into building a full 3 to 6 months emergency account. That takes a while, but it's worth it. And here's why: because once you have that 6 months, it's not like you lose your job. Where my payday loans at? No, it's like you have 6 months to get another job and figure things out. That's the idea. Once you're done with that, you focus on investing. But investing is usually like the last thing. People always think about, I'm broke, I need to invest money. No, you're broke. You need to clean your stuff up and build a foundation, and then you worry about basically investing. Because if you try to invest while you're paying somebody 18% or you're borrowing money on payday loans, it just makes absolutely no sense. And it usually just ends into you investing money, having to take the money out because you need the money for something else. And that's not what you want. But overall, guys, that is it for this video. I don't need 18 minutes or 15 minutes to convince someone that already knows that payday loans are not a good idea, because what it leads to, or what leads to that, is a lot of bad financial habits. But the good news is, okay, guys, I had a lot of bad financial habits. We all have. I don't think there's a single person that's born and is like, you know what I want to do with my money? I want to save it and I want to grow it. You know, people, since we're kids, we get money. We're like, what do we spend this on? Okay, I want to buy candy. It's just normal. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean you're dumb. It just means you're ignorant. And ignorant just means you have a lack of understanding on something, and that's just normal. So your job is to go practice different things out, go learn to do a little bit more, and just try those things out. That is it. That is it. Okay. So this video might seem extreme and insensitive, but it's the truth, you know, and the truth is the truth. And sometimes the truth sucks. You know, I could make a video saying, hey, what you need to do is just have a little budget. Okay. It's okay to have fun. You don't have to sell your stuff. You don't have to pay off debt first. Just like invest a little here, do a little here, but that's not going to help anybody. It might make you feel good, but it's not gonna help anybody. So that's why I try to lay it off or lay it on, like, just forget what I'm laying on anybody, okay? I just try to say things like they are, all right? And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified, and comment down below, no payday loan, because everybody wants to get paid on their payday. But comment down below that so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video. Up here is another banger. Over here is my face. And as always, long-term team officially out.